We got King Louie. Question for Cam. Out of all of our June official visits coming up this month, who is the kid we have to have?
I wrote a piece about this when I wrote the recruiting rules, actually before that, about debating must-get recruits. I do not believe in that because there's always going to be another one. If there's one that I want more than anyone else, I will have to say, oh boy, man, there's some good options. It'll have to be either David Hicks, the 5-star defensive end, or Jayden Wayne, the 5-star defensive end. I will start there just because that's going to be at the top of the class. Those are going to be among the most talented, highly rated guys who are visiting in the month of June. And I would say let's start from the top and then go from there. Yeah, so I'm not going to say that we have to have anybody, but eventually we will need to start, getting some guys in the boat. But yeah, if the guys that I want, I would say either Hicks or Wayne, one of the 5-star edge rushers. That's where I'm going to go.
Anthony Smith, appreciate you being here, sir. Cam, why is the Orlando area so difficult for us to recruit? Is that the area is really low on top for top tier talent? Anyway, difficult to recruit. Okay.
Got it. It's just a thing where the proximity to Gainesville is a factor for one. And it's not super duper difficult because we just got a 4-star safety in Markeith Williams out of Orlando this past year. So we're not going to just go in and pick who we want from there. But yeah, there are some guys who have been from that area, like the Jayden Pouncey kid from Winter Park who went to Texas, Jordan Pouncey, excuse me, a wide receiver who for a while there during that cycle, pretty much everybody thought was coming to Miami. And then, not. So, and I know that the Cedric Baxter kid, he goes to Orlando Edgewater. So, that might be in your question as well, Anthony, and things like that. So, it's really just where you're focusing and the connections and everything. We do have a couple guys on the staff now who are from that area. And, I think, it was Ish Aristide who was from up there. And then that's why, or one of the main connections to getting Markeith Williams. He's not here anymore. He's at Duke, because we kind of upgraded across the staff. But when you have those relationships in those areas, then it's easier to get a foothold. And I think that we were really focusing on South Florida more because, we were, batting 280 and as opposed to batting, 600 in the local area, in the recruits, which is kind of where we need to be. But yeah, it is a challenge. You're going to have other programs that are, linked. You're going to have guys going to South Carolina. You're going to have guys going to Tallahassee. You're going to have guys going other places. They're going to come into Orlando just like they're going to come into South Florida. And it is just a little bit, it's on the northern edge of the famous Howard Schnellenberger state of Miami. It's I-4 South, right? And so I-4 runs through Orlando, for those who know. So it's right on the upper part there. So that has not been a super duper focus for the staff either. But I think that the lack of relative proximity and especially it being so close to Gainesville, I know that they do really well up there. I know that some other schools do as well. And focusing elsewhere, I think that that's kind of been why it's been a little bit of a struggle in Orlando. Hopefully, again, we're able to go get the guys that we want from the areas that we want, including the Orlando area. But yeah, let's say that we have an improvement from 1 a year to 2 or 3. I think that could be great. Depending on who the 2 or 3 are, but I'm not going to leverage the farm to get another 1 to 2 kids a year from Orlando. I will bet the farm to get another 2 to 3 top end kids from South Florida. I will do that. So, it's kind of, you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. You're trying to figure out how to balance everything, whatever analogy you want to say. But yeah, Orlando's not been at the very top of our recruiting priority list, but we've done okay in that area, just not been the number 1 team in that area, if it makes sense.
Jeff is addressing an article with The Athletic. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at it. I'm looking at The Athletic right now, the Miami section, and there doesn't seem to be anything too critical or analytical. They've ranked Miami's 50 best players post-spring practice. They have revisited the 2018 class, the hits and the misses. But
I think nothing... he's talking about the Mario Cristobal and the 6-month whirlwind revamp the U. Maybe. Okay. Is that the article? Bruce Feldman and Manny Navarro. I have that one open in another tab. I have not gotten to go through that again. had some other homework for the secret day job that I was attending to. But no, I have not gotten through that. I'll look at it. I don't think that there was anything super critical, but I will look at that. The 50 top players, I think that they did a good job there. I disagreed with a couple. I think in the top 10 and in the 20s. I read that one right when it came out and kind of put it to the side. I haven't read it again. But there was that. But yeah, in terms of just like the rebuilding and everything, I think Manny Navarro did a mailbag that I read a while ago. Talking about playing USC and like things like that, which would be great, or whatever. But they're not available until 2027. Miami already has South Carolina and USF that year in the non-conference. For those who are wondering, yeah. But no, I if it's the one that I mentioned, just hop back in the chat and let me know. I'll prioritize having that read to respond or react to before next week's show. But no, there wasn't anything in the Athletic that. And I mean, I have an Athletic subscription and I read stuff all the time. They do some really, really, really good basketball coverage, by the way. But yeah, nothing that I thought needed immediate commentary.
Jason Clutch asking about Nicholas Harbor. You familiar with him? He's rated in the athlete category, I believe, out of California.
No, he's East Coast.
He's an East Coast. Yeah. So he's heavy Michigan. I know we just talked about him concerning his Michigan ties, but I thought he was coming from California. Anyway, regardless,
he runs track, so you might have seen him in California running track.
Okay,
I think he's Maryland area.
Yeah. He's a DC. Yes, he is. Absolutely. An interesting wide receiver defensive end combination.
Yeah, I mean, he could play anywhere, man. I mean, he's 6'5", 240, and he's running, just I forget the numbers on the track, but just stupid. Sub 11 in the 100, just I mean, and it's funny because most high school track athletes are like maybe short and stocky, 5'8", 190 pounds, and there's this massive dude just hawking them down, Miami is in Nick Harbor's top 7, I think, that he released of teams that he's interested in. He's going to plan a couple visit, or at least a visit down, trying to get him to come down for what do we call it now? Not Paradise Camp, Legends Camp, I believe is what Mario Cristobal is calling it, and things like that. But yeah, he is everybody's All-American. I mean, he looks the part and plays the part, and you could put him anywhere. I know I was talking with JP online. Shout out to my boy Juice Kane from 300, but or Juice from 300, excuse me. But JP was saying, hey man, this kid is so fast. He's a literal track star, right? Why would you put him on the edge and not on offense? If he's able to have any kind of hip flexibility and wiggle, right? Then you have, I mean, I'm going to say the name and take it for what you will, but you have a Calvin Johnson type. I mean, at that same size of like 6'5", 240, running, sub 4.5, maybe sub 4.4. Like I don't know of another comp of a guy that big running like that, like a Calvin Johnson, being that kind of athletic, right? So that would be the ceiling for what you're looking at. Hey, even if you put on, because he's running track all the time and doing everything, maybe he stops running track and he puts on 20 pounds, put him at tight end, bro. 6'5", 260. What are you going to do with him? And he still's going to have much of that speed. You could put him at 3-4 outside backer. You put his hand in the dirt. Hey, maybe you get him a couple more protein shakes and hamburgers. You move him inside sometimes at 270, 280. This is a kid who, I mean, anywhere on the field that you want to put him is a dynamic and elite athlete. He's a guy for me, and I know a lot of people were responding with this, seeing JP and I interact, get him on campus and figure it out. And it's not as cut and dry as Greg Russo was, where he played receiver for Champagnat. But you always knew, look, this is a kid who came from, an okay family, and family situation, I'll say, but didn't have, really great nutrition or a really great weightlifting program. But you could see the frame that he displays now. Or, you could project, look, man, get him in the weight room, get him, 5 protein shakes a day. He's going to add the weight. You put his hand in the dirt, and this is a freaky, twitchy kid, right? With Nick Harbor, there's less room for him to grow, or it's less projectable because he's already so large, right? Greg Russo came in at 6'6", 205. Nick Harbor, 6'5", 240, right? So you already have the musculature already along that path towards wherever you're trying to build it for this kid. Man, yeah, there's a kid that I'm going to push for. There's a kid that, yeah, if you get, Jayden Wayne or David Hicks, or, I mean, God forbid, both. But, I mean, you're going to find room for Nick Harbor. And then you're going to also find room wherever, balancing where he wants to play and where you think that he could be the best. But, yeah, he's a kid who Miami is very high on. Miami's going to push for. And that's one where even if you lose that recruiting battle, it's time and money well spent. Like, that's a kid that you should be prioritizing. These are the kind of national recruits that you go out of area for, right? And again, I'm going to plug my own work from now. Jesus, this is 4 years ago in 2018, but the recruiting rules. When I worked at Miramar, I was, usually around the athletic department and usually around the football field. And I did speak to multiple college assistant coaches, even coaches now who are assistants then or head coaches who were assistants and are heads. And, I've seen other people, legends in the industry, people with names that you know. And one person with a name that you know told me, I only go I only go out of my area for a first rounder. From the school that he was at, and he was at a big time Power 5 legacy tier program, right? That was recruited very well. And he's just like, yeah, I could go and I could, do whatever. But if you see me over here, out here, wherever that's not near where my school is at, it's for a first rounder. That's it. That's the only reason that I'm stopping by. Right. And you had Tracy Howard there, who was a 5-star, so, I mean, that's who they were recruiting. But look, Nick Harbor is that guy. You go out of area for a first round pick, a guy like that setting records on the track at that size, who can play the way that he can. And if he does not go pro in track, look, man, you have a gold mine right there. So, yeah, that's a kid who, and these are the battles that you fight. And hopefully you win a couple of them. You're going a little bit out of area for Hicks in Texas and also to Wayne in Seattle, right? So you got 3 major targets in DC, Texas, and Seattle that you're going after. But, like, yeah, these are the battles that I'm willing to fight. These are the ones that we need to fight. And along with winning more of the ones at home, I would say of those 3, Harbor, Wayne, and Hicks, you got to win one. And I know that you're fighting on multiple fronts and you're going to be fighting different teams and everything. But yeah, this is one that we invest in. And even and again, I'm saying 1 out of 3, this is baseball for me right now. 1 out of 3 is success, right? So even by saying, look, we're going to invest the time and resources and money that's going to take to recruit these guys, and I'm accepting off top 2 of them are not going to be in this class, I'm still taking success with whatever one of those 3, right? But yeah, this is a guy who's interested in, and like Mark said, has a Michigan channel that talks about that. We know that Nick Harbor has Michigan in his top 7. Great. So you already know that you're going to be fighting Jim Harbaugh and Ann Arbor and that program as well. So yeah, but Nick Harbor is a guy who, if you are unfamiliar with, it is spelled weird, Nycklous or Las. I'd be Nyck.
Yes.
I just know that. Es?
Yes, Nyckoles.
Harper. Nicholas. Okay. Harbor, like, where you park boats. Look it up. You can start with the track highlights because those are incredible. And if you think to yourself, like, Cam, there's not a kid who's Calvin Johnson size who could be a starting defensive end at 6'5", 240, running guys down from 20 meters away in a 200. Yes, he is. And his name is Nicholas Harbor. Go look it up.
Michigan, USC, Miami, Maryland, Georgia, South Carolina, LSU. Those are his 7.